Hey, thank you for joining us on Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson right here on Grander Radio and Achickwitbeatz.com and wherever you subscribe to podcasts. We thank you so much for hanging out with us. We got another good show lined up for you. We have rapper, entertainer, CEO OD coming up with an interview, and just excited to share that with you guys. And of course, we have more music industry news, tips that can help you with your independent artist career, and beats by yours truly. So, I'm feeling hype. I'm pumped. I'm ready to get it going. How about you?
Yeah. I'm feeling hyped, a little bit under the weather today, but hey, nevertheless, it's a great day, so let's get it rocking.
All right, let's go. so much for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson right here on Grander Radio. And, we're just really excited to announce that we have, this man is just grinding. He's working hard. He's got the talent and he's putting the work behind it to make sure that you know about it. So we're thrilled to have the one, the only CEO OD in the virtual building with us today. How you feeling?
What up? I'm all good. Appreciate y'all for having me out.
Awesome. Yeah, we're really, really glad to have you. And so, just if you could kind of introduce yourself to the audience, kind of let everybody know, who is CEO OD? We want to know everything from, when you decided that music had to be a part of your life to how you chose your name and all that good stuff.
Okay. Big homie CEO OD from the South Side, Inglewood, No Love City of Chicago. I started pursuing music for real when I was 10. Like, I really started at 10. I was dealing with like a real depression issue because I had lost my father at 6. And by the time I got 10, I didn't know whether I was coming or going, whether I wanted to live or die. And I seen a Nas video on the box at my grandma's house. And I was like, man, I want to do that. So, of course, like you 10, don't nobody really take nothing. You say you want to do it serious, and it's just me and my mama and my grandmother. That was the only parents I had, really. And, my homie had a homie who had a studio, and he said if I raked his leads, that he would give me free studio time, so I didn't have to do nothing illegal to get money to pay him. So from then, I started my journey then. You know what I mean? And in the midst of all that, I just began to be independent and, of course, chase the dream like everyone else to try to get a deal. But while doing that, I decided that that's not for me. It has to make good sense for me and good business sense. And I just started buying everything, and I got my name. That's how I got the name CEO OD, because I was going by OD because I did comic books at the time when I was a kid. And one of my homies' characters was OD, and he let me get the name. And so I kept the OD, but when social media came relevant, I had to put something out. I couldn't put OD on everything. So my homie was like, yo, well, you always buying stuff and owning stuff. He's like, why don't you put CEO or big homie? I'm like, I like CEO better. and then from there, I just put that on every social media platform, and I always obtain the name. And then I just bought the name and I own it. And then that's it. That's how I became it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, man, you just shared so much in that short amount of time. I know Breezy's probably burning over there with questions, but really quick before I, throw it to him for him to be able to ask, to take what you've been through and kind of, flip it and make music work for you and use it as a channel or a way to express yourself. To do that so young and just work, the way that you've been doing is really, really commendable. So I just definitely have to say that. And,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and let Breezy ask his question.
I say, whoa, that is a slam jam bam start. And I'm all in. I'm all in. That's got so many elements of great things like the wisdom, the desire, the opportunity, you're using your smarts, you're using just all of this is put into one big pot, and you're stirring it up like that with a big wooden spoon, and everything is pointing to something successful, something worthwhile, something really worthwhile. So that's a slam bam start right there, man. My hat's off to you for that. That's awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So you did kind of touch on it a little bit already, but what are some of the things that you do currently in order to draw inspiration? Is it something that you actually sit down to write, or does it just strike you and you go ahead and dive into it? How does that work for you typically?
Nowadays, it kind of like I just go in the studio and just whatever the beat tells me to do. But that's kind of what I do. But like throughout my day, by me running my operation and everything, I might get inspiration from seeing somebody. Like for instance, I was driving and I seen a young guy sitting at this abandoned building. He was crying his lights out. Like he was a shorty. He was crying. He was balled up crying. Like I'm like, dang, somebody must did something to him. So I go bust a U-turn and I go back to see him and he's not there anymore. And then I wrote a song about that. I didn't know what was on his mind, but I just took some struggles that typically happen and I make a story out of that. I'm more of a storyteller rapper, so give or take, mostly throughout my day, I see a lot of people. Like I'm a caring type of person, so I talk to a lot of people every day. You know what I mean? And kind of just tell the stories of the everyday struggle, or I come from my struggle. If I ain't got, like, if I go in the studio and like, all right, we made all the songs that can like, you know, that people would like, you know, I still try to make enough songs for everybody. So I try to make some club bangers and some street songs. But then if we like, all right, we did enough of those, I'm tired. And I'm like, hey, I got an idea. Let's do this. And that's why I draw the inspiration from the things I see through my everyday life.
Man, that's a wonderful thing, because I mean, there are some artists out there that, you know, do try to mix and match a little bit, but for the most part, you got a lot of artists that just, they do one thing and kind of stay in one lane. And there's nothing wrong with that for anybody out there like that, but that's really cool to have that diversification, you know, under your belt, to be able to kind of switch it up like that and cater to multiple audiences.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, a lot of people have issues with what they say, like the current state of hip hop is, but really it's not that that's the problem. It's because the diversity is lacking compared to how it used to be. So, you know,
it's an evolution.
It's
an evolution. Like everybody, I mean, people like what they like at the time, you know? Mm-hmm. When I hear people say they mad at the state of hip hop, I be like, I don't even understand why. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people, because you can live a long time. And when you think about it, like, your era is gonna be your era until your era transpires, you know? Mm-hmm. So you can still like different type of music. I don't know, I love the state of hip hop where it's more independent. It's everybody can express themselves. And if they want to just party all day, I can't knock it. You know? If they just want to do one thing, I can't knock it. I just, you know, I mean, it's good to have freedom of expression. It's more free now.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the thing, though. So, you know, people say, like, oh, well, it's whack now. Well, you know what? It just kind of went back the way that it was before. We had party music back in the day. You know, not everything always has to be super lyrical or, you know. So it's kind of nice to be able to switch it up. And it's really cool that you can do that. So, you know, you've got a lot of experience. You've been through and seen some stuff in this game. For any independent artists out there listening right now, what's the most valuable thing you've learned since you started that you might be able to share with somebody kind of looking for advice?
Two things, you know, really learn the business if you're independent. And you like, I was forced to be independent. I didn't wake up one day and say I wanted to be like this. It was like I was forced to, because a situation that I was in, I didn't like how I was being talked to. I was being talked to like I was cattle, and this is my dream. Like, I'm using this to, you know, basically feed my family and take my family in a different direction that it's been. And the moment I was talked to like that, I was like, yo, like, why he can talk to me like that? And basically somebody told me, that's your boss. I'm like, what make him better than me? It was like his money. I'm like, all right, cool then. I'm like, give me some money then. I could be the boss too. So, you know what I'm saying? Just learn the business and take your time and make mistakes and learn from your mistakes. It really takes time. Some people it happen overnight. Some people it don't. Just take your time and draw out your destiny for you. Like, I would advise people not to base somebody else's success off your success. Really sit down and be like, what do I want out of my life in this career? And that's what works for me. That's what works, and that's what worked for me, because I'm at more peace now than I ever been, because I sat down and had a real conversation with myself. So, you know what I mean? But that take a lot. But that's what I'll say. Learn the business, take your time, and learn from your mistakes. Man. And have a budget. Have a budget.
Oh, yeah. That's really important. That's some great advice. Great advice when you say so, Breezy.
Oh, yeah. Now, a key focus flashpoint that you brought up right here on the Music Marvels show was when you said the phrase, while I was running my organization. And see, that's a key flashpoint with me, because that lets the listeners out there in the mix know that this is not just a hobby. Okay, you, while running your organization, all of the ups, the downs, the ins and outs, the do's, the don'ts of running your organization. So this isn't something where you can just wild out Monday through Friday, and then suddenly Friday night at midnight, you just want to go into the studio.
No, yeah, most definitely not.
you got to stay in the studio from midnight to 6 a.m., 7, 8 a.m. and think that that's all there is to it, because it's not. Okay, so when you said by running my organization, word to the mother, except so it's for the listeners, you know, if you're in the music flow, accept that phrase right there, while I'm running my organization. And so to each one of you listening, you got to run your organization. Don't take it lightly. It ain't a hobby, and deal with it, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, music is a business. I mean, the love behind it is still necessary, but yeah, you cannot neglect that side of it at all. So, you know, if you could maybe take a moment to share with us about, you know, maybe some of the projects that you've done, if you've got any favorites, or if you're working on something right now, you know, basically what we can expect coming up pretty soon.
Well, I'm working on a new album now. I don't know what it's called yet. I don't got no release date for it. It's just to keep me busy during this whole pandemic type of thing. So the album that I dropped during the pandemic was called Freedom. I didn't know the pandemic was gonna kick off. I dropped it the day they announced the world was shutting down last year. So that kind of that really hurt, because I put all my money up and got to try to get that money back. But nonetheless, that's the album I'm pushing now. It's Freedom. It's on all major streaming services. And so what I'm doing now is gearing up to try to do more virtual shows and keep pushing out more content. With the world looking like it's about to open up a little bit, it's making it a little bit easier. So earlier this year, we was doing a virtual show every month, but the venue, we got to switch venues, and I want to make the show more live. So I've been drawing back so I can make the show better. So we're supposed to do more virtual shows in this summer, and keep pushing the album that I have out now, the album Freedom, and keep shooting videos. That's all we're gonna do. And then once the world opens back up, I'll probably drop another album. And that's about it.
That's what's up. And, you know, I just want to say, too, especially with that throwing a kind of monkey wrench in the plans or whatever, it's cool that you're still promoting it, because you notice that's a lot of things that some artists don't necessarily do like they kind of used to. So I don't know. I hope I'm not dating myself by any chance here, but back in the day, you bought an album. That was the album for another few years before you had a chance to have another one. So, you know, I think a lot of times people don't actually give albums time to breathe because of that constant need to kind of push, you know, more product out. And not saying that that's a bad thing, it's not, but you know, to be able to sit with an album for a while and kind of let it grow on you and kind of learn it, you know, it's a few that you might just kind of hear casually, but then sometimes you go back and like, whoa, this song is really hot. To be able to have that experience, I think kind of makes people connect with the music a bit more than they tend to do these days. So, you know, yeah, I'm glad that you said that. So yeah, to any artists out there, just because, you know, maybe it didn't happen when you wanted to because of the pandemic or whatever's going on, still promote it because it's still going to be new to somebody else. So it might be old, it's new to somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I learned the hard way. Like, I learned that a while. Like, it's old to you, but new to somebody else. So, yeah, you just got to keep pushing. If that's what you want to do, you just got to keep pushing.
Yes. So I'm excited that we get to, hear some more music coming up soon on top of that as well. But yeah, so I know that this isn't like a one-man journey. There's always people that kind of helped you out. And you mentioned, the studio time that you were given, for work. And so if there's people that you'd like to shout out that kind of helped you along your journey, people that are helping you now, you can go ahead and do that.
Let's just shout out. Trying to think, there's so many people to shout out. I don't want to miss nobody. Okay, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm shouting my homie Cooley Shy, my engineer 12 Tone, Southside Inglewood, my whole Mad Mob family and my family. There's so many people to name, but everybody knows they're associated with me. They know what it is. And to my squad, which is my fans, and the people who really support me 100, my diehard fans, I appreciate them the most because that's what helped me get through the whole pandemic. Is my squad and my children and my family. So. But if I missed anybody, forgive me. It's hard to shout out everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's the saying? Charge it to my head, not my heart. It's hard to put on the spot. Yeah. So, before we let you give your socials and all that good stuff, I know, I don't know if Breezy, if you have a comment or a question that you'd like answered before we get ready to wind down.
Well, no, I'm here, man. I got my helmet on, strapped on, and everything, man. I got my safety belt because you're just blowing everybody, rocking everybody away with your interview.
Mm-hmm.
And
I appreciate it.
Lots of deep coins in there, and so I just hope that the peeps got those coins and know where to put them in the right spot because I think that you just came to the table and put it all out there, and you did a great job. Looking forward to more too.
Oh yeah, anytime, man, anytime. I love doing interviews, questions. I don't matter, guys, whatever. Whenever y'all need me, y'all got me.
All right. Well, yeah, we'd definitely love to have you back again sometime soon. And I do just want to point out it's very, very rare that anytime I ask somebody to shout out people that somebody actually mentions the fans. So, that's kind of heavy right there. I wish we were one of those shows that did the air horns and all that good stuff because I definitely would have dropped it then. Yeah. So before we head out, I want to make sure that everybody that's listening knows where they can find CEOD. So all the social media handles, everywhere that you're at, all the platforms that you're on, if you can go ahead and let people know where to check you out, the project that you have out now, and what you have coming forward so they can stay in touch with what you're doing.
Cool. You can look at me on my website, www.ceood.com. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything is CEOOD. You put them 5 letters together, I'm gonna pop up on Google, anywhere. Everything is CEOOD, and it's just one man and 5 letters. That's it for me.
Awesome. All right, so make sure that you check him out everywhere that he mentioned, and if you have any lasting thoughts that you want to leave with the audience before you head out.
I just want to say everybody keep pushing, no matter what it is. Whether if you make burgers, make computers, make gates, make tree houses, just keep pushing and let it take its time. Let time take its time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Everything don't happen overnight, man. Just keep pushing because you gotta stay on that path so you can help the next generation. Because if you stop, you might end the next generation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's all. Just keep pushing.
Man, that's incredible. Wise words. And we thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your energy, and your story with us. And yeah, we can't wait to have you back again soon.
Appreciate y'all. Just let me know whenever.
All right. Thank you. All right. And that was CEOOD. Please make sure that you check him out everywhere that he mentioned. The website, the social media platforms, and music platforms, and all that good stuff. You don't want to miss what he's got coming up. I just really appreciate all the knowledge that he dropped and, him sharing his story and his wisdom with us, and really do look forward to him coming back again in the future.
Yeah, a lot of impactful things that he shared today. And so, hey, I mean, I'm glad that he came through the spot.
Yes, indeed. So, all right, we're going to get back to some more music by yours truly, and then we'll be right back with music industry news. Lots of good stuff going on, mergers, acquisitions, and more information about music money. So you definitely want to stay tuned, and we'll be right back. All right, music industry news. Here we are. Triller has been in the headlines multiple times. They're just making all these big steps and big strides. And you know what? Speaking of which, shout out to them for the Method Man and Redman 420 special episode that they had for Versus. This past Tuesday, it was a great time. Hip hop heads everywhere were rejoicing just to see those two men in the building putting the show together the way that they do. I once had the honor of seeing them in person, and that energy and that chemistry is just always there. And it's almost like time hasn't even changed since the 90s when they were out. But nevertheless, back to the business. Triller has announced that they have a new CEO after acquiring 3 companies in just 5 weeks. So, they are buying up stuff. The first one, of course, was last month when we found out that they bought Versus. And coming up, they also just got Amplify.ai and Fight. So these two are strategic purposes, and here's why. Fight is a live event and pay-per-view streaming platform. And they focus on sports and entertainment, which is basically the same thing that Triller's already doing and kind of getting into. So they already kind of have their own little package of their network. So, it's owned by TrillerNet. So they have the Triller Fight Club, which is also a live event partnership with Snoop Dogg and Triller TV. And they also have original series from people like Jennifer Lopez, 2 Chainz, Jake Paul, Perez Hilton, and more. So obviously they're ramping up their programming. This is not going to be, just some kind of fly by night. They're making sure that they're making a lasting impact on the industry, and the fact that they're tapping into other segments, besides just music. They're basically trying to become an all-in-one platform, and it looks like they're well on the way to do that. So the other one that they purchased, Amplify, is what's called an AI-based tools analytical situation. So basically, they can use the artificial intelligence to kind of pair up the content with the creators and find ways to make more opportunities and make things more lucrative for everyone involved. So the fact that they're, investing so heavily in things that kind of already line up with their business model, it makes me excited to see what's coming forward in the future and all the possibilities that are opening up here. All right. So yeah, it seems like Triller keeps popping up in our news headlines. So, like I say, we'll just see what keeps coming. All right. And also a New York-based music rights company called Reservoir is going public on the NASDAQ. So, initially, basically anytime something goes public on the stock market, that means that you get the chance to get involved in it. If you're interested in making investments, always do your research first. But, we're seeing a lot of these music companies starting to go public. And so, that offers opportunities, one, for them, because by opening up to the public, that means that they have additional access to funding. And so that typically means that they're expecting growth because they're going to be accountable to their shareholders. So, people don't go public just so they can take your money and leave. Although we have seen that happen in the past. Doesn't mean it's impossible. But it just kind of lets you know that they're looking to make some moves. So, anytime you see these companies doing that, you pay attention to the partnerships, who's involved, and the reasons why they might be doing it, because those types of things can give you an indication of what you need to do for your career and where you might be able to align yourself. Or, as mentioned before, just invest if it's something that you're interested in. So, this is a big deal. It's currently valued at $788 million. And what's really important about this is that it'll be the first independent music company to go public in the U.S. and the first female founded and led music company to be publicly traded in the U.S. So, shout out to the founder and CEO. I hope I pronounce her name right. It's Golnar Khosrowshahi. And just kudos to her for making history. Women are in the business. Although you don't see us that often, and most of the time it's behind the scenes, women are still making an impact. So, it's always good to hear stories like this.
Yeah, feel good stories.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And Apple Music has released, they released a statement through email first before they kind of started rolling it out. And it came through the Apple Music for Artists because, kind of when I got the chime and looked at it, I was like, this is a little bit different for them. But they claim that they pay a penny per stream, which is almost twice as much as Spotify. So, of course, it just kind of raised eyebrows because we're wondering exactly how they're doing their math, because Spotify has a considerable amount more users than Apple Music does. So it's not really comparing apples to apples, not necessarily apples to oranges, but it is a bit different because before they can do payouts, they basically, all right, actually, let me back this up a little bit just in case, there's somebody out there that hasn't been listening. We've talked about this before, but just because you listen to a specific artist doesn't mean that they're going to get a set amount because of that. So what these companies do is they take the whole pot. So between the subscriptions, it gets divided out among all the artists on the platform. So the problem with this is most of the major artists kind of eat up the chunk of the change before it gets filtered down to the rest of the independent artists. So because of that payment structure, it kind of brings the reason and exactly how Apple came up with these calculations and how accurate are they. So, most people believe that it's actually in response to Spotify, trying to be a little bit more transparent about how they pay people, although they were still basically just mentioning the same figures that we've been knowing since the beginning. So, all these companies are kind of secretive about how they get to these numbers, and it doesn't necessarily add up to what artists are seeing once the payments start rolling in. So, keep an eye on that and see what's going on, especially as Apple Music grows. It'll be interesting to see if they can still tout the penny per stream, once those numbers start going up and more costs are being incurred. So that's what the claim is. It's up for debate. There are a lot of people in the industry like, yeah, we think they just totally made that up, but we'll see. Time will tell. And just important things to be aware of. And speaking of being aware of things, all right, I need you guys to listen really closely to this story. So although this isn't necessarily industry news, I think it's important for music artists to be aware that things like this can go on. So there was a Cleveland man who was denied a renewal of his concealed carry permit because deputies watched a music video that he was in 3 years ago. So the background in the story is he already had the permit. It was time for him to renew it. He went in and, he had the permit to begin with because prior to getting it, he was robbed at gunpoint and shot, and apparently one of the bullets is still actually in his body. So, feeling defenseless, he decided to, go ahead and get his concealed permit. And so, upon, him getting it renewed, he got into this issue where they were supposedly trying to check his identity, even though he actually had all the proper paperwork and ID that he needed when he showed up. So I guess the sheriff's department decided to dig a little bit deeper. And of course, they checked social media, YouTube, and that's where they found him. So they're saying that the basis for denying him the renewal is because in the video, there was tequila and marijuana. So he tells them that they were props, but he was also in the video with his brother, who apparently had a warrant out for his arrest. So now they're saying, one, he was, publicly showing that he used marijuana and tequila, and he was in the video with a felon. And because of that, that's why they're denying his renewal. So, the ACLU is saying that music videos are supposed to be, like just a creative freedom, and it shouldn't count against him. However, the department actually has a right to deny them based on their discretion. So, whether you think it's right or wrong, regardless of how you feel about it, it is something just to be aware of right now. I'm not sure how far this case is going to go. I imagine if the ACLU is involved, it probably will be something to watch and see how things turn out. But just something to keep in mind when you're recording your music videos, or, in some cases, even some of the things you say. I do totally believe in the right to free speech, but apparently not everyone else does, and it's an unfortunate situation.
All the way around.
Yeah. The $16 billion COVID-19 rescue program that was supposed to help live music venues just went kaput, as it was launched on April 8th to where the venues could log in and, sign up for accounts to try to apply. It was just chaos all around. Some people couldn't even create accounts. Some people could create them but couldn't upload the proper documentation that they needed. And it was just a mess. So it was taken offline just a few hours after it started, just to kind of alleviate even more chaos. So apparently they've fixed most of the glitches, and it should be back up and running in the near future. We'll see what's going on with that. But in addition to already fixing the main glitches that they found that were going on, they're also thinking that it could be a problem with so many people trying to access the platform at the same time, because they're actually expecting 40,000 applicants. And so that's just an estimate. It could be more. But, with all the different venues and stuff that have been struggling since the pandemic, they're really waiting on this money so that way they can kind of keep their doors open, pay their staff so that way there is a staff to come back in once things open up again. And it was just a really, really royal mess, and hopefully that'll be corrected soon.
Let's hope so, because there's a lot of vital equipment out there that can be accessed to protect the folks inside those venues, whether they be the concert goers as well as the staffs of the venue.
Mm-hmm. And also, some interesting news that came forward is Media Research connected with Twitch to release a report about music and gaming, a new way to play. And so the whole report basically focused on why music artists and music companies, record labels, everybody needs to kind of be partnering with Twitch or other gaming platforms to connect, because, once they kind of took a look at the numbers, gamers tend to be very passionate. And so they're not just passionate about gaming, but also passionate about music. So, as an independent artist, that's definitely something to keep in mind. While these people are playing games and streaming, they're more likely to buy merch from you than, somebody that's just casually listening on Spotify or Apple or Tidal or whatever. So, they're more connected. They're actually more likely to show up at online concerts because basically they're already there. So, it's not really that big of a deal to just switch. And so, basically the report shows that they tend to be more engaged than your average listener. And so it's really important to start looking for ways to kind of connect with gamers. Make sure that it's organic as well. So you don't want to just start harassing gamers to listen to your stuff. But, maybe connect through another game, maybe connect through watching their streams. I mean, there's a whole world of possibilities there. And, especially with the online concerts, you need people in attendance so that way you can still pull in money. So if you're actually building your network within this community, you'll have not just casual listeners, but people who are passionate about what you do and want to support everything that you do. Right. And so, speaking of this, we're talking about the online concerts and things of that nature. South by Southwest is hoping to go back in person in, 2022, but this year they went virtual as well. So, it's something that you can keep seeing. Rolling Loud just got postponed to July, and, maybe that'll work out, maybe it won't. So we're seeing that, some of these events are working out in person, but there's still going to be a lot that will be virtual. And as we've mentioned before, most people are suspecting that as things move forward and even as things opening up, concerts should be offered in a hybrid manner for the people who are still nervous about being out amongst others or just prefer to stay at home, and for those who want to get out, and be amongst the public. So that's another reason why, it's really important to kind of get in good with these gaming platforms, because most of them also offer ways for you to be able to live stream your shows. So speaking of which, Spotify announced a new partnership with 4 different virtual event platforms. So these are StageIt, Mandolin, NoCap, and Nugs.net. So, they already had a connection with Songkick and Ticketmaster. So that's letting you know if Spotify is, investing in these other companies. So we're looking at 6 in total. That lets you know that they're expecting the virtual concerts to still be a big deal, even after, things kind of fizzle out with the pandemic. So, like I said before, paying attention to what the major players are doing can help you figure out where you need to align yourself. So that way you're not caught off guard or surprised. So definitely something that you need to keep in mind, especially if you're an artist who likes to tour and all that good stuff. You might be able to do that, as well as make sure that you have your concerts live streamed for some of these platforms. And also, South by Southwest is now 50% owned by PMRC, which is also the owner of Rolling Stone, The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Billboard, and Deadline. So now it's the single biggest shareholder in South by Southwest. So, with the media company making that huge investment, it's going to be interesting to see how they align themselves with it and to see what will come forward. So, it's always important to know who owns what, so that way when you start to see some of these connections, they'll make more sense to you. And that about does it for this week's edition of Music Industry News. Although I would like to give a shout out to, and I hope that I'm pronouncing her name correctly as well, but Salamisha Tillett. There is an article in the New York Times titled, "Why is it so hard to show Black women's musical genius on screen?" And I just wanted to shout that out. The premise of the entire article is talking about how we've got these shows that have been out. So Ma Rainey, the Billie Holiday one, and even Aretha's Genius, and Tina Turner's recent HBO documentary, how instead of focusing on how innovative these women were to music and how crucial what they did, kind of shifted and paved the way for musicians, not just female musicians, but just musicians as a whole coming after them. But instead of focusing on that stuff, they focus more on the trauma and what happens, instead of giving you those aha moments when they decided to, make these blends that weren't done before and produce this music that hadn't been heard before. So, it's a very insightful article, and, I give a big shout out to her, kudos for writing it and just making people take a look and see how women have been treated as a whole. So, we're not just innovators for other women, but just, in general for the whole community. So yeah, shout out to her for that. And if you have time, make sure that you check that out. Check our Twitter. We'll have it out there for you, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that women helping women concept and women helping the world concept is really royal. So again, take heed to those words and follow through.
Yes. All right, and we'll get back to a little bit more music, and then we'll be right back to close out the night with you after this. All right, and that does it for this week's edition of Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We're so glad that you joined us. And you know what? I also forgot to mention that Song Trader just acquired this company called Pretzel, which provides music that won't be taken down for people who use Twitch and YouTube live streamers. So if you're an artist that's interested in doing something like that, to where you want your music out there where people can use it and kind of give more exposure, Pretzel actually pays you a percentage of the subscriptions that they get, as opposed to doing the traditional royalties, and that percentage is 70%. So something to keep in mind. Make sure that you check that out. But yeah, we just thank you for joining us, and we'd love to do it again next time. We hope that you'll tune in, tell a friend, and we'll see you then. Peace.